Hey everyone, you're very welcome back to the Justice for Aaron Brady campaign, and we move into a very important series of videos. We have come into the possession of the video recordings of Daniel Cahill's statement being taken by members of Garda Síochána, Paul Gill, Pádraig Reilly, and then on the second occasion, Paul Gill and Jim McGovern. Now we have to dissect this video and show you, the Irish public, what we have said from the very beginning. Daniel Cahill's statement is a tissue of lies, and Daniel Cahill's statement was coerced, and Daniel Cahill's statement was manipulated by Garda Síochána. Now, because this is so important, I have made just a few notes to lead us into these videos and make sure the gravity of what you are watching, that you understand as the public the gravity of what you are watching here, and the absolutely diabolical behaviour of Garda Síochána. So, obviously, in any functioning democracy, in any proper, justice system, evidence presented before a court, whatever goes before the court, whatever goes before the judge, must be factual to a degree, as much as is possible, must be untainted, and most importantly, any evidence that is deemed coming from the star witness must stand on its own merit. I think that's a given. So, but what we are about to witness now in Daniel Cahill's statement to Garda Síochána is the total opposite of what you, the Irish public, would expect from our justice system. There's a deliberate perversion of justice here by Garda Síochána, and it will be there for all to see. So, as I say, on these series of videos, we're going to focus on the star witness, as nominated by the likes of Robin Schiller here, and Owen Reynolds. I think Barry Cummins mentions him, and in numerous newspaper articles, Daniel Cahill was nominated as the star witness in Aaron Brady's trial. But the truth you are about to witness is the opposite to what you, the Irish public, should expect to see, and you should expect it from your justice system. Cahill's statement is a total fabricated web of lies. His version, and this is the most important part as we go through today's video, his version totally contradicts the actual facts of the events that took place on the night Detective Garda Adrian Donohoe lost his life. And obviously, the most chilling part of this is that Garda Síochána knew that Cahill was getting his lines wrong, and on a number of occasions they tried to guide him and try and point him in the right direction. But because Cahill has his narrative somewhat ingrained in his head, and because he's telling lies, he can't pick up on the clear hints and gestures from Garda Síochána. In the footage we're about to see, you'll see what Gill and McGovern do quite clearly to try and change Cahill's narrative. They're not just passively listening to his statement and taking a statement, but they're actively steering the narrative, which we have seen previously with Detective Mark Phillips taking the statement from Ronan Flynn. Ronan Flynn tells Mark Phillips that the boys stole a BMW, which is obviously incorrect. Ronan got his story wrong. And Phillips stops him and asks him to really think about what he's saying. So he is steering and manipulating the statement. And obviously we will be able to see that in the written statement presented to the court, all these moments of impropriety and illegal activity by Garda Síochána are obviously not documented in the written statements. The reframe the story, I've said that. Yeah, the statement is completely flawed, and you will see that it is so far removed from the actual events. It's almost insulting. and yet he's allowed to do this, and he's encouraged to do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to break it down, as we've always done, in bite-sized pieces, and then we will show you, the public, the truth behind what we are actually watching. And of course, we come to the caveat insofar as the Irish media and the Irish authorities know by now that we have released some of the interview with Daniel Cahill. And as before, over this last 5 years, we have told you, the public, exactly what Daniel Cahill is: a pathetic liar who told lies, a tissue of lies, both in a statement and during the course of his testimony, where he purged himself to protect his own criminal life in America. And as always, we have always said that as we progress through the Aaron's campaign, each and every time we move from one section to the next section, to the next section, to the next section, almost infinitely, in over the 600 videos, we've always said that what we've said in video 575 will come back and fit in exactly with video number 7. And this, I think, is a good place to start with our portrayal of Daniel Cahill's statement. When we just listened to Cahill give his description of Aaron Brady, it's neither here nor there. But when we put it in with the facts of the case, it renders the prosecution case against Aaron Brady useless. So just this will introduce us to Daniel Cahill's interview. This is in New York on the 25th of July 2019. And this is the first little clip we're going to listen to.
So if you were to describe him physically, so you know, Aaron, black hair, 5'9" maybe 5'8". I remember he was shorter than me, skinny fat. He was a chubby kind of guy, but he wasn't what you'd call fat, you know.
So here we have Detective Garda Joe Ryan's statement, and you can see there's the statement of Detective Garda Thomas Joseph Ryan, taken on the 27th of the 1st, 2013 by Garda Kisan. The raider with the shotgun was tall, about 6 foot, 6 foot 1 inch. He was thin build, with a dark balaclava over his head. It had slits and on the eyes. I'm not sure about the mouth. So as we've said, as the truth emerges, we can see quite clearly along all our videos, podcasts and lives, everything we have said fits into place. It is the correct narrative. It is the truth. Because, and I will remind the public again, when Joe Ryan gave that statement and he was telling the detective what he's seen, Joe Ryan had perspective. He was looking at 2 men. So this wasn't a standalone individual. He had 2 men, so he had perspective. Very, very important to reiterate that on every opportunity. And of course, we have the testimony of Mary, the credit union worker, who tells us that he looked like an athletic fella. He was tall enough. And unfortunately, for Garda Síochána, that's not Aaron Brady. So that's just reiterating how the vein of truth runs through Aaron's campaign continuously. But let's move now to the more sinister aspect of what happened during the course of Daniel Cahill's statement being taken. And we look at what might be to most an insignificant movement and hand gesture. But please, in the grand scheme of things, we say this is sickening, and we'll have a look at it and then we'll discuss it. Detective Paul Gill, please.
So you said there, you said something about he produced a weapon. Is that what he said, or what? Was that your
that's your words.
Me saying he produced the weapon is my words. His words was, I had a gun and I shot it.
Okay. With the cops. Okay. No, yeah, I get that. Yeah. So when you say a gun, was it ever discussed?
No.
Okay. And the reason I'm asking you that is,
Only he had a gun and I shot the cops and he never told me. What movies in it?
so the reason I'm asking you that was, so earlier in the conversation you mentioned something about a handgun. Was that never discussed about a gun? Was it a gun?
No,
A gun? Or what was it?
It was how he stated it. He never told me what type of gun or anything.
Right, okay, so
He
this
just-
is discussing it, but there was never discussion about what type of gun it was?
No.
Right, okay. So when you said earlier, I think, oh, handgun, you just said it's a handgun.
Or just said a handgun
But
because of how Aaron,
Yeah. Right, okay.
when he said, when I was asking what happened, he said, oh, my friends were in the car, and he was like, no, I took out a gun and I had shot the cops.
Okay, that's fine.
As we said in the introduction, we expect everything in the process of this investigation and taking statements and presenting the prosecution case against someone for capital murder. Everything would be above board. It was reach a certain standard and would be done correctly. During the course of that little interaction between Paul Gill and Daniel Cahill, the conversation is very specifically about guns and handguns and what type of gun. And some of you may have noticed it, some of you may not have noticed it, but during the course of that little segment of the interview, Paul Gill makes that gesture there. And the handguns, did he say handguns, guns, what type of gun? And he makes that gesture there quite clearly to Daniel Cahill. Now, I don't care whether it's subliminal, subconsciously, it's wrong. I've watched over the 4 hours of this interview, and Paul Gill does not do that at any other time. And it's specifically at the time when they're speaking about what type of gun was used to murder Detective Garda Adrian Donohoe. Now, if you've missed it, I'll just run it here very quickly just slowed it down in slow motion. So you can see he puts the hand out and they're talking about guns. And if we bring it up here, Paul Gill makes that signal as a handgun because on numerous occasions Daniel Cahill does this here and makes the shape of a handgun with his hand. Now, in the course of the 4 hours in this interview and the course of the 2 hours in the subsequent interview on the 29th of July, this interview we are looking at now is the 25th of July 2019. The next interview that we'll be dissecting was the 29th of July 2018. Daniel Cahill makes that gesture and says, Aaron Brady done that. I shot the cop, I shot the guard, and he uses his hand like that. The man who shot and murdered Detective Guard Adrian Donohoe, his right hand was not there, his right hand was here. Total opposite to the actual fact. And again, I will reiterate, subconsciously, accidentally, subliminally, whatever Gill done there, it was wrong. And it shows how to try to alter and coerce the narrative from a false witness. And this continues through the interviews and we will pick up on them again. So obviously, the big error here is that Daniel Cahill said someone told him Adrian Donohoe shot like that. That's wrong. He wasn't shot like that. And there's a lot, so we're going to just focus now on the other basic facts. The basic facts of what happened the night Detective Garda Adrian Donohoe lost his life. We're just going to look at a couple of very short clips. And again, we'll analyse how Cahill got the whole thing completely wrong.
that during this occasion or what?
When he got into like, I had asked him what way it went down.
At this time?
At this time, when he said to me, he was like, the Garda's on Ireland, and I was like,
Tell us what happened, as much detail as you can remember, what about this conversation?
what he said to me was that he basically said him and his friends, or, well, he didn't say friends, just said him and the lads he was with, were going to commit a robbery, and that he produced a handgun and he had to shoot the guard to get away. Or that he produced the gun and shot at the guard so that he could get away. But obviously he shot the guard.
Okay, so just so we're clear at first, what exactly did he say?
So Aaron's,
As best as you can recall, and I appreciate it a long time ago.
Aaron's words to me were that he was really upset that it didn't leave his conscience, and I asked him was he going to get caught. I remember that. Then I asked him was he going to get caught, and he was asking, or I asked him, how did you do it? What happened when I asked him if he was going to get caught?
Okay.
And he told me that him and his friends were going to commit a robbery, and that they were all tooled up to go and commit a robbery, and they got a car, and that he, when they got there, he said that he just said the cops came. He was like, and I took out a gun and started shooting at him. And I was like, and that was it. He said I had to get away from him.
So in this clip, we have to expect that the evidence given by a witness, the star witness in a capital murder case, that the evidence he gives is somewhat correct to the facts we know. The facts we know are that we'll look at it now in a moment, that the men came over the wall and immediately attacked the Garda's car. So we just go through what we're after watching there. So Cahill's telling us he asked Aaron what way it went down. Gill again is asking, and he's putting this on the line. We want as much detail as possible. And again, Cahill saying he produced a gun. He produced a handgun. He says the handgun again. He produced a handgun to get away. And he says, I asked Aaron, how did you do it? He says, we went all tooled up. When we got there, the guards came. I took out the gun and shot him. I had to get away. So that is not what happened to Detective Guard Adrian Donohoe. And I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll just show this quick clip. And this is exactly, because we're looking at the moments, we're looking at the CCTV footage from the actual seconds Detective Guard Adrian Donohoe lost his life. So let's have a quick look at this.
There you can see as that's Mary Hanlon moving out the gateway and the car pulling across and blocking her. The vehicle moving up now is on Garda Síochána. Now there's the radar. 1, 2, 3, bang. That's the moment. So 4 seconds, that's the moment that the radar shot Adrian Donohoe.
Now, so you can see there clearly the man who shot Detective Guard Adrian Donohoe straight in, and within between 4 and 5 seconds from arriving at the car park, he had shot Detective Guard Adrian Donohoe dead. Now, what the story Daniel Cahill is telling us here is that when they got there, the cops came, I took out the gun. So he's saying that Aaron told him that he took out the gun after the guards came. I took out the gun, I shot them to get away. That is not what happened. And I don't see any situation where the person who murdered Detective Guard Adrian Donohoe would in any way describe what Cahill's after describing. The man who shot and murdered Detective Guard Adrian Donohoe, like we spoke about in the previous clip, didn't do that. He would have done that with the shotgun. He would have said, when we were hiding behind the wall, when the cars arrived, we ran out, we attacked the Garda car, and the guard got shot. I shot the guard right away. The man who shot Adrian Donohoe, that's how he would describe it. There is no other way to describe it because that is fact. There's no such thing as during the robbery, and we'll go through this in great detail later on through the taking of this statement, because it's a continuing story that Cahill portrays, and you can see here how distraught Gill is when Daniel's getting the whole thing all wrong, because Gill knows it's a crock of shite. It's not what happened. And Gill tries to steer Cahill, but Cahill's unable to pick up the signals. And we'll just have a quick look now. Now this is the actual read back of what he's after saying there now. So let's have a little listen to Reily reading this back.
Some more water.
Yeah, please.
We'll just deal with this piece
I just
here.
want to make sure that I'm getting this right.
That
As I
was
say, that this, so I asked him what had gone down. He told me that him and his friends were going to commit a robbery. They were all tooled up and had got a car. The cops came and he produced a gun. And yeah, and he fired at the cops to try and escape. Yeah. And like I said then, like, it was kind of end up being left at that. I let him drink himself to cook, and you know, I just kept serving him until.
There's Pádraig Reilly reading back what Cahill is after telling them, and of course, it's not exactly what Daniel Cahill said. I'll leave it to yourselves. You can go have a quick look at what Cahill's actually saying, and then look how Reilly has sanitised it. But no matter how well you sanitise it, it's still back to front, because he does say. The read back, and the most important bit is the cops arrived. We fired at the cops to try and escape, and this is exactly the opposite of what happened the night Detective Garda Adrian Donohoe lost his life. So that's it there in black and white. I think just going to show one or two more little examples of this. There are multiple examples of the story being narrated wrong by Cahill. But let's have a look at the next little clip.
They gave me roles, but they told me that there was 4 of them. I'm pretty sure they told me.
You're saying, you're right, so just put yourself in my position here, right? You're saying.
So that's a little 10-second clip there where Daniel Cahill is telling us they told me that there was 4 of them. Now that's wrong, because we know there was 5 raiders involved in the murder at Lordship Credit Union. Now, I'm only picking these out. All this is reiterated and stated again by Cahill, and you can see how the guards tried to change that narrative. And if you listen to Gill's, if you must get the detail right, put yourself in my position. Your position, Gill, is you know there's 5, you know the Cahill's telling lies. And it continues, and as we go through the video, I promise, this happens on multiple occasions. He gets the number of the raiders wrong. And again, if the person who actually shot Adrian Donohoe was telling Cahill the story, he would have said there was me and 4 others, or he would have said the 5 of us. Now, Cahill maintains he had 3 or 4 conversations with Aaron over this alleged confessions by Aaron Brady. So these are not just little one-off slips. I'm just picking out these, and as we go, we're going to continue to build the narrative, and we see how Cahill is just making stuff up as near as he can to what he thinks happened. And his conversation with Gill and Phillips before he went into that interview room. So we're going to just listen to another couple of little bits.
This is what happened. We drove up and we were trying to get away. I shot the cops.
So again, another very, very short little clip, 6 seconds. We drove up, we had to get away. I shot the cop. That's not what happened. The truth of the story is the raiders hid behind a wall for 45 minutes, nearly 50 minutes. So and I shot the cop, had to get away. implying, without any shadow of a doubt, that this story he's pushing forward here and putting forward to the detective, that the shot as they were getting away, that's not what happened. It's a total fabrication. It's a total tissue of lies. I think I just have one more little clip to listen at, and again, it builds the basis for what we said at the beginning. A statement should bear some relevance to the events that happened that this witness is given his statement in relation to. But everything he says through the whole statement, not thus far, through the whole statement, is the reverse or it's incorrect. There's actually none of it matches with the actual facts and the details of what happened. Detective Garda Adrian Donohoe. So we're going to listen to another little clip now.
So, when I asked Aaron what was wrong and what occurred, he explained to me how the cop had been killed. And when he explained this to me, what he told me was...
So I'm not stopping you, right? What's important is that this is very important, right? So I just want you to have it correct. And or take it down correctly.
So he explained to me, here, yeah, that him and his friends got a car, and before it went down to commit a robbery.
Right. And that this boat, that what you tell me there?
That before it went down to commit a robbery.
Okay. Okay. How do you know what it was for?
I don't.
You're only telling us because...
I'm only telling you what Aaron told me.
Perfect. Okay.
I'm only telling you.
So as we go through the statement, this is so blatant and so clear. He's explaining what Aaron said to me and how the cop had been killed. Him and his friends, the four of them went down, and he says four of them twice. Now this is where Gill again comes forward and tries to rein him in, because Gill knows that there's five, and he knows that this is wrong. And he says, well, how do you know there was four? And of course, Cahill says, I'm only telling you what Aaron told me. Now, the person who shot and murdered Detective Garda Adrian Donohoe would have said the five of us. Now, there's no getting away from that because he's mentioned it before. Mentions it again, and he mentions it on other occasions. And I think a good time just to say here, once he's done this in the first video, they can't get him to change it for the next one. And when an analysis is done of the two videos, this one on the 25th and the one on 29th of July 2019, you can see where there has been some polishing. But notwithstanding that, this is facts, this is details that are wrong. So I will repeat once again, when a witness gives a statement, it must bear some resemblance and it must be relatively close to the actual facts of the event. This is not, it's wrong, it's lies, it's been made up by Cahill. Just want to listen to one more little clip, and again, he gets the narrative completely wrong.
It didn't go to plan, and to escape from the cops, he produced a weapon and was firing at it. And left. Okay. So he found out that the cops was dead and ran like straight left the country. So
I'm afraid Cahill's got it completely wrong once again, and as I said, this is continuous through the 6 hours he's speaking with the Garda Síochána. So he says there, it didn't go to plan, he produced a weapon. Now, it just doesn't fit the story of what actually happened, the event that happened. There was no producing the weapon was there, the man crossed the wall, the man who shot Detective Garda Adrian Donohoe, crossed the wall with the shotgun in his hand. Nothing was produced. It wasn't brought out the weapon, didn't turn round, didn't produce a weapon. That didn't happen. It's simply not fact. In fact, it's the opposite. And again, this is a big point here too. And he says he found out the cop was dead and straight left the country. Now, Gill doesn't ask any questions about that, and he should have, because that's not what happened. Aaron didn't go to America until April. So there's February, March and April, 3 months after the Modern robbery. So any suggestion that he left straight is, no matter what way you look at it, and Gill doesn't go to ask that question because he knows this clown Cahill doesn't know, or he's going to say something that's totally wrong. Because did he say how he got here? Did he say where he flew from? Did he say where he flew to? Did he fly with anyone? Who did he go with? Nothing, because Gill knows. It's a vital part of the story, and because Gill knows the narratives and Cahill's getting everything wrong, he has to pull back and not ask the natural follow-on questions. So that's where we are with that, those few short clips. So we will repeat again, what you expect from a witness statement is something that near enough replicates what happened or what would have been told to the person. It happened on numerous occasions. This isn't something that was a brief encounter. Allegedly, he tells us that Aaron was drinking for 12 hours and then it's up in 15 hours, and he told him. So he had loads of time to sit, talk and take the interest in the story. So all this is it's not on a whim or on a fleeting moment. So Cahill has it all wrong. He's making up stories, he's telling lies, and it is blatantly obvious from what we are watching there. And more importantly, it is blatantly obvious watching Gill that he is trying to navigate this criminal that's sitting across from him. That Gill knows, Detective Garda Gill knows that Daniel Cahill is telling a total load of lies. And that is the takeaway from this first little bit. There's several videos we can make with this, and we will eventually make them, and how one statement doesn't fit on top of the other, how there's a continuation of attempts by members of Garda Síochána to shut down or not follow certain avenues because they know Cahill has it all wrong. So please like, comment and share. Because we're showing Cahill's videos now, we're going to be very, very heavily censored. And again, we have to say, where is the mainstream media? Where are they not reporting that the witness giving the statement, star witness? Where's Robin Schiller now standing up for his mate? Where is Schiller now standing up for the star witness? If anything we were saying there was wrong, if the Garda Síochána had no fear or no cause to think that there's going to be retribution for people looking at this, they would have shut us down and they would have been here to stop it immediately. But their silence, as always, is deafening. Also, the watchdogs that look over the judicial system in this country, the Minister for Justice, the Ministry for Justice, you are all watching. And you all know what we're after looking at there for those few minutes from those few clips is fucking disgusting. And the Irish judicial system has to be brought to book for what they've allowed to happen and what they've allowed to happen to our son. So please continue to like, comment and share. We're going to be very heavily censored now because we're showing Cahill. We do need your help. Please, please, please like, comment and share, and we'll see you all in the next video. Thank you.